The city skyline stood silent, a collection of sleeping giants against the dark canvas of night. But for Ethan, the silence was a lie. It screamed with the memory of what he'd seen. After witnessing the murder, everything felt altered, twisted into a grotesque version of itself. Every familiar street corner, every sudden sound, every dancing shadow held a new, menacing quality. The city he once called home now felt like a predator's hunting ground. Inside the sterile, brightly lit police station, Detective Claire Morgan sat across from him. Her expression was a mask of professional calm, but her eyes held a seriousness that cut through Ethan's daze. "Ethan," she began, her voice steady, "the man you saw is named Marcus Hale. He's not some street-level thug. He's a professional hitman, meticulous, efficient. He leaves no witnesses and makes no mistakes." Ethan's hands, resting on the cold metal table, began to tremble. A single drop of sweat traced a path down his temple. "Why?" he managed to stammer, his own voice a foreign sound. "Why would someone like that be here? Why did I have to be the one to see him?" Claire leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. She took a slow, deliberate breath, as if weighing her next words carefully. It could have been a terrible coincidence, a 1-in-a-million chance. Or, she paused, letting the alternative hang in the air. Maybe you were meant to see it. Either way, Ethan, the result is the same. You're in danger now. Deep danger. The questioning continued, a blur of faces and procedures that did little to calm the storm raging inside him. When he was finally allowed to leave, he stepped back out into the night. The walk home was a gauntlet of imagined threats. The hallway of his apartment building, usually just dimly lit, felt unnervingly dark. As he fumbled with his keys, the overhead lights flickered, casting long, distorted shadows that seemed to writhe and reach for him. His apartment, once a sanctuary, felt cold and hollow. An intruder. He didn't bother turning on more than a single lamp, which did little to push back the encroaching darkness. He sank onto the edge of his bed, the springs groaning in protest. He stared at the worn floorboards, trying to force his lungs to work, to draw a full steadying breath. But fear is a suffocating force. It doesn't listen to reason. And then the sudden, piercing shrill of his phone shattered the oppressive silence. It jolted him, his heart leaping into his throat. He glanced at the screen. Unknown number. Every instinct screamed not to answer, to hurl the phone against the wall. But a paralyzing curiosity, a morbid need to know, took over. His thumb swiped across the screen. He brought the phone to his ear. Silence. Then a voice. Slow, calm, and utterly chilling. It was a voice that held no emotion, only a flat, deadly certainty. "I know your name, Ethan." Ice flooded Ethan's veins. He froze, unable to move, unable to breathe. It was him, Marcus Hale, the hitman. The voice continued, unhurried. "You shouldn't have been there. You saw something you weren't supposed to see. Now, you've become part of my problem, and I always solve my problems." The line went dead. The silence that followed was more deafening, more terrifying than the words themselves. It was an absolute void, confirming his worst fears. He was no longer just a witness. He was a target. Panic, raw and primal, finally broke through his paralysis. He scrambled to his feet, grabbing his jacket from the back of a chair. He didn't stop for anything else. He burst out of his apartment, the door slamming shut behind him, and ran. He took the stairs 2 at a time, his feet pounding a frantic rhythm against the concrete. Outside, a light rain had begun to fall, slicking the pavement and reflecting the neon glow of the city. His ragged breaths turned to clouds of mist in the cool air. His footsteps echoed in the empty streets, a desperate, lonely sound. He ran without a destination in mind, fueled only by pure, unadulterated terror. He didn't stop, didn't dare to look back, until the familiar blue and white sign of the police station came into view, a beacon in his personal storm. He burst through the doors, wild-eyed and gasping for air, drawing the attention of the front desk officer. He found Claire in a small, cluttered office, poring over a stack of files under the glow of a desk lamp. She looked up, her expression immediately sharpening at the sight of him. "He called me," Ethan choked out, leaning against the doorframe for support. "Hale. He knows my name. He knows where I am." To her credit, Claire didn't panic. There was no flicker of surprise, no gasp of alarm. This was her world. She was trained for this. She stood up, her movements calm and decisive. "Okay, Ethan. Listen to me very carefully," she said, her voice a firm anchor. "From this moment on, you are not alone. I'm going to protect you. But you need to do exactly as I say. You need to trust me. Can you do that?" Ethan could only manage a frantic nod, his eyes wide with a mixture of terror and a desperate sliver of hope. They didn't waste another second. They left the station through a secure back exit and got into an unmarked black sedan. Claire took the wheel, her hand steady, her focus absolute. The rain was coming down harder now, tapping a rhythmic beat on the windshield as the wipers swept back and forth. The city lights smeared into long streaks of color as they sped through the glistening streets, leaving Ethan's old life behind. For the first time in hours, a tiny fragment of relief settled in his chest. He was with a cop. He was safe. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't see in their rearview mirror, was that their flight was not unnoticed. Several car lengths behind them, another black car moved with a patient, predatory graze. Its headlights cut through the rain, fixed on Tim. It followed their every turn, silent and unseen. Inside, Marcus Hale sat behind the wheel. His expression was impassive, his focus total. He watched the car ahead, a hunter tracking his prey. This was never a coincidence. This wasn't a game of chance. This was a hunt. And Ethan was the prize. The city might have been his home, but now it was Marcus Hale's board, and the game had just begun. Thank you so much for watching. If this story has you on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what happens next. See you in the next video.